Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book More Beautiful Than Death by David Mack, one of the Star Trek novels released in the Kelvin timeline. Yes, it is very rare to see Star Trek novels in the Kelvin timeline. The Kelvin timeline movies, there have been 3 movies thus far in it, and they always say they're working on a 4th, but hasn't happened in years. But the 3 Kelvin timeline movies were very mixed, but I think the ideas present in those movies are really good, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to tell more stories and opportunities to tell alternate stories featuring the OG cast. And so I was really excited when I heard we'd finally be getting novels in the Kelvin timeline. For those of you who don't know, back around 2010. Pocketbooks, which had the Star Trek license, had commissioned 4 Kelvin timeline novels. One by Christopher Bennett, one by Greg Cox, one by David Mack, and one by Alan Dean Foster. So they had 4 books planned, and the authors either wrote them all or were working on them in various stages, and then for various publishing reasons, I believe it had to do with the licensing and also because of what the producers of the movies and stuff, but for various reasons, all those books, all 4 of them, got shoved off the release schedule and shelved permanently, and we all thought we're never getting those books back. However, in 2019 and 2020, it was announced that we would be getting 2 of those Kelvin novels. Finally, they would be printing them. We had The Unsettling Stars by Alan Dean Foster, which is the first one that came out, which I did read this and review it, and my review is on the channel if you want to find it, and I really enjoyed it. And then we had More Beautiful Than Death released. And so now I have read both of the 2 Kelvin novels that have released, and I enjoyed both of them. I think that More Beautiful Than Death is a slightly better book. But this book is a rare example in Star Trek where I cared way more about the interpersonal character stuff happening in the book than I did with the plot of the book. Usually with Star Trek books, I'm more about the overarching political plot, how it's going to affect everything, and instead in this book, I just cared about the character dynamics, which I think is a good strength of David Mack, that he's able to write the characters so well. I think that the plot of this book is pretty entertaining, but the character stuff in this book is just great. There are 3 character dynamics I want to focus in on because those are the 3 real big character dynamics. One of the character dynamics in this book is between Spock and his father, Sarek. Sarek is present for the whole book because he is on a mission on the Enterprise to work with this planet. And Spock and Sarek have this very strained relationship because after the destruction of Vulcan, Sarek wants Spock to do Vulcan-related things, wants him to embrace his inner Vulcan more. He wants him to help repopulate the Vulcans, choose things based off of logical reasoning, and Spock is kind of going through his rebellious stage still because he won't really do what his father wants him to do. We also have the great interpersonal stuff between Spock and Linnell, who is a woman who is, I would say, infatuated with Spock. She wants Spock to give her children, basically, give her Vulcan children so that they can repopulate the Vulcan population. Although it's weird that everyone seems to be going after Spock for the repopulation when he's only half Vulcan. It's like he's not even a purebred Vulcan. If you want, like, purebred Vulcans, go after the other males in the group. Why is it Spock that has to be the one to repopulate? Anyway, that interpersonal character dynamic I thought was really good. And then there's a character dynamic between Spock and Uhura. And Spock and Uhura have, they're dating in the timeline of the first 2 movies, and this takes place after Star Trek 09, but before Into Darkness. And so they're still dating, and they're having relationship problems, and you get to see how much Spock really cares for her, and also sometimes how he doesn't always trust her with everything. And then there's actually a 4th dynamic I forgot to mention, which was a big one, which is the Kirk and Sarek relationship. Kirk is, I think, like Spock, his rebelliousness comes out, especially when Sarek's around, because I think he kind of views Sarek a little bit as a father figure as well in this book. And, Kirk really has this drive of he wants to get the mission accomplished. And if you tell him he can't do this because of regulations, he's going to be like, forget you, I'm going to do the thing. and I'm going to help the people. And so throughout this book, Kirk is constantly telling Sarek, no, no, no. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm gonna keep on the course, help the people out of the planet. And Spock surprisingly goes along with it. Usually Spock is the one saying, Jim, Captain, you shouldn't be doing this. And instead, Spock's the character in this book who spends most of the book saying, you know what? Yeah, I'll go along with you. There is one point where Spock has to say, Captain, I'm concerned for you. And he actually goes through Bones to do it. But it's just so funny that Spock's going along with the captain, mostly because it's Sarek that they're going against, and Spock is kind of ticked with Sarek. So I just thought that was kind of funny. I will say that of all the cast, the one that I could hear the voice of the actor the strongest was Kirk. Like, I could hear Chris Pine's voice coming through. It really felt like it nailed that version of the character that I thought was solid. Spock and Uhura and Sarek, they were all written well, but Kirk just naturally worked. And of course, you have the plot of this book. What's the plot? Well, Kirk and the Enterprise are escorting Sarek's team over to this planet, Acheron, where they're trying to negotiate with the people of Acheron, the leadership there, to have relations between the Federation and Acheron. However, a group of mysterious aliens, or as the people call them, demons, invade the planet and are overrunning the planet, and the people ask the Enterprise for help, and Sarek says they shouldn't, and Kirk says they should. And that's the basic A plot of the book, is Kirk trying to help out the people of the planet, while Sarek's saying, what are you doing, you crazy nut? Don't do this. And that was all great. There's also a B plot, whereas Linnell is just constantly trying to get Spock to mate with her, and when she isn't successful, she has to go through other methods which are not as appropriate or consensual. And that was just interesting to read. There is a big reveal in this book. So-and-so is really so-and-so. And I was like, really? And I looked up the character. I was like, apparently I'm supposed to know who that character is. I didn't. If you've watched the original series and have read some of the other books, you'll be familiar with this character. I wasn't, so the reveal didn't do that much for me. But apparently it was a big deal if you know the character of Spock. Because there's a reveal of another character with his story. But overall, I enjoyed the book. The plot could have been stronger, and some of the deeper themes could have been deeper. But again, what drives this book is the character interactions. What drove The Unsettling Stars, from my memory of it, I read it about a year ago, was you had I think a terrific plot in it. And I think that it had a few good themes as well. But the plot was really what drove it and made it such a good book. This book, it's the character dynamics that make it so solid. So I really enjoyed More Beautiful Than Death. I'd give it about an 8 out of 10. A solid book, really enjoyable. Not my favorite Star Trek novel, but really entertaining, really solid. And so that's my review of More Beautiful Than Death. If you've read this book, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.